relied on the professionals. They have assured me that all of those things, that the 4th and 5th grade, I have all the confidence in the world, they will fit in that building comfortably, that we'll be able to transport them in and out. You know, we've been in discussion about how do we make Sandown North more comfortable for them, you know, additional playground space, looking at some safety concerns that were brought up. But, you know, I'll tell you right now, whether we close Sandown Central or not, Sandown North needs a sprinkler system, right? As do all of our schools. These are things that come up, I'm like, and I asked the same question you asked, like, why do we build a school without a sprinkler system? Doesn't make any sense to me, right? So those are things, but I have been assured, again, by the principals and the professionals, the people that actually know how to do this work, that that will work, and we can get that done. Is it ideal? We need to make it ideal. We need to work the best. We need to work smart with what the school, what the budget committee and the school board gives us to do the work. But the short answer to your question is yes, that can be done. It's something we've been talking about. It's something the district's been talking about long before I got here. Long before I got here. So,
Thank
the
you.
answer is yes.
I think this is my last question on Sandown. Just to understand the cuts, the cuts of 744,000 represent only the savings, I believe. But it's in some manner, shape, form, facility, we're still going to have to educate the 135 students that are in that school. I don't think that this budget represents a pro forma that talks about the revenue decreases along with the expense increases that would be associated to how we're going to educate the 135 children. So how do you evaluate this? We're a budget committee. How do we evaluate this if we don't know what the net savings are going to be? And when do we get the net savings?
I think that, I don't want to speak for the administration, but I think the net savings is what's listed right on our budget sheets as far as what the proposed costs are. What net savings are you otherwise talking about?
Mr. Chairman, I'm talking about, what I'd like to know, we're talking about the closing of Sandown. What I would like to understand is, net, what does the closing of Sandown save the region? And in order to do that, I think we need to have contrasted against the savings, the expenses that will be related to transporting, educating those 135 students. I think that's a reasonable request. I don't know how else to evaluate it.
It's what you have in front of you.
Is it?
The
So that's the
information's
net?
here.
That is it. That is it. Now,
I don't see any increases though, Dr. Metzler. I see only decreases. Am I right or am I wrong? Where do I see
the
increases?
Increases, I mean, you know, it's spelled out in terms of what the savings would be to move those students to another school. Now, to Mr. Horn's point, if I could, because if I could back this up, because I think his point was, okay, if we were to increase what you presented, priorities, I'm going out on a limb with Mr. Collins with your, is it okay? Okay, what I would ask the school board, first of all, what you don't see in this budget at all is a floating nurse that was put into this district. So the nurse you see cut here, I want to keep her. She's awesome. We want to keep her. Mr. Roth, absolute star. I want to keep him. I want to find work for him. I want to increase the Danville AP from .6 to a full-time. You know, they have more kids at Danville than they do at Sandown North, yet they only have a .6 assistant principal, and Sandown North has a full-time assistant principal. You know, there's a teacher, an intervention teacher, I believe, we need at one of our elementary schools, a technology specialist. There's two technology jobs, you know, that we've kind of eaten in this budget. So that's where we get to around that 500, I think, as you're asking, because I'm looking at the cut saying, if you said on the spot right now, you know, what's most important to you out of those are the things that are most important. And you don't see the nurse anywhere here. So my hope would be, you know, as we downsize and we take these positions, that some of these great people, they're not out of work. I mean, they live here. They're part of us, right? So that we can somehow find another spot in the district for them somehow, some way. If it's not at Sandown North, it's in one of our other schools or somewhere. So we kind of absorb the cuts through retirements, through some people leaving on their own. We don't refill positions, those sorts of things, if that makes sense. So I get the We don't lose the nurse. We don't lose the administrative assistant. We don't lose a great principal that's another, that could administrate in a number of different ways in this district. We have a couple of open positions that are not reflected here in the cuts. So, that's the plan, but those are the nuts and bolts that's in the spring. But we need to get this to you tonight. We need to have this done in December, as we figure out all the ways. When you see it just says teacher cut, that could be a teacher at the high school, or that could be a teacher in one of our elementary schools. We're not quite sure. We'll find that out in the spring as people retire. We're getting some retirements now. People are letting us know, but a lot of that's really in the nuts and bolts of what you pay us to do, to run the district with the resources you provide. So you're looking for some clarity that's really hard, but your initial question about, hey, I can't vote unless you tell me what that 500 more means. Well, those are some of the things right off the top. The nurse, great principal, some of these people here, moving that assistant principal at Danville, a couple of technology positions that we need, and that would probably be the additional 500, unless the board took me in a completely different direction. See, I can't guarantee that, but that's what I would ask for, and then the board might say, no, we want to spend it on this, right? That makes sense?
It does.
Okay.
Mr. Collins was next, and Mr. Collins, I want to ask a question of you when you're done also.
Yeah, sure. So, and to Mr. Horn's point, if you add up the closing of Sandown Central with the transformer, those two items just about get you to the $67,800,000 that was proposed. Now you mix and match, like Dr. Metzler was just talking about, the 12 positions that are open right now, and you add some of those in, and then you get to that 500. It's a little bit less than 500 plus 0% is what was proposed. So I think that answers your question.
It does, however, I don't know if I can answer them directly.
Go ahead, Mr. Horns.
It does, however, my understanding was that the 500,000 came from the transformers, and then the remaining of the amount we were talking about in the reduction was the 600,000 from the vacant positions. Is that not correct?
No. So what I'm saying to you is, what did we have to cut to get to 67.8?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying if you take out Sandown Central as proposed, and you take out the transformers, you're just about there.
I understand
I'm
that.
trying to give meaning to the number, basically, for you. And then Dr. Metzler just spoke to how we might mix and match, some personnel from Sandown Central with open positions that are proposed as well here. So, but the number is 500,000, a little bit less than $500,000 over 0%. That's what $67,800,000 is. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. However, what I don't quite understand, maybe this is where I'm not getting it, is that the amount in open positions that we would save if we eliminated those, I'm not proposing that we do that, I can't, but is roughly the same amount as current positions at Sandown Central. So I'm curious, if we eliminated the open positions and the transformers, why would we have to eliminate anybody at Sandown Central at all?